Hello everybody and welcome back. As always, I'm Mateo311 and this is your channel for everything VR related. So today we're checking out Bulletstorm, the action-packed first-person shooter that's been ported over from flat screen. Now I originally played this game over 10 years ago, and while I did enjoy it, I gotta say my VR playthrough was much better. To the point where I basically played the entire game in one day. And that doesn't mean it's short, guys. Now, I have to say this video has been sponsored by the developers, but today I'm going to let you know all about this game. Let's not waste any more time and start off with the basic information for this game. Bulletstorm's releasing on January 18th and will be available for the Meta Quest, the PlayStation VR2, and PCVR. I experienced both the Quest and PCVR versions of this title, which I'll go into a little bit more detail later on in the video. The price tag is $40 with a 10% pre-order discount, and your average run-through of the single-player campaign should take about 10 hours. During that time period, it's basically non-stop action, over-the-top cutscenes, and gratuitous violence. There's also a truly unique mechanic that sets this game apart, where your murderous exploits are scored based on how cool you kill your enemies, and then you can use these points to upgrade your weapons and buy more ammo. I'll definitely give you some more details about that, but first let me give you a deeper overview of this game's main components and what exactly you're getting into. Now, if you've never experienced the flat version of Bulletstorm, this is the classic in-your-face shooter. You have a protagonist who's all muscle-bound and supplement injectable fueled, if you know what I'm saying. He's in your face at all times, angry for no reason, or does he have a good reason? And his favorite pastime is swearing. Yeah, that's what you're getting into here, guys. The violence is going to be non-stop gratuitous, and you're going to have, some of those almost cliche moments where it's an on-rail shooter, something's chasing you non-stop, there's going to be a giant boss fight, that type of stuff. If you've been around shooters for a long time, you should know what I'm talking about. But if you're not old like me and you haven't experienced these type of games, probably in the VR sphere, the closest scenarios would be Battle Sisters, the Warhammer game. It's like that, but definitely better than that experience. Just it's an overall better shooter. Or probably a better example would be Fracked. It's like your typical B action movie. It's non-stop violence, adrenaline filled from beginning to end. Probably the best way to describe it is stupid fun. That's it. Stupid fun. And honestly, in VR, I really enjoy these experiences. You guys know me, I loved Fracked, and I'd put this up there, right alongside it. Now, before the developers get annoyed that I referred to their game as stupid fun, please understand, that's a term of endearment. Conceptually, the overall concept is a bit cliche. You have these muscle-bound heroes that always magically survive as long as things happen off-screen, and there's plenty of violence and cursing just for the sake of violence and cursing. But you have to understand, this game is a product of its time, and I tend to really enjoy that experience. The over-the-top cutscenes are undeniably fun. They also added a really cool stereoscopic feature to the cutscenes. So now they're in 3D, which feels right at home in VR, but I do have to mention, if you're susceptible to motion sickness, do not turn on this feature. It can definitely be a bit overwhelming to some people. Make sure you have blood and gore enabled though, because this game is just not the same without it. This is definitely a mature rated game, and you don't want to miss out on those decapitations and blood splatter. Freaking zombies!
Let's see some bat, you savage dogs!
Oh, nice. Now, continuing on the topic of features, I want to discuss everything you've added specifically for VR. Of course, you have everything you'd see from a native game, like your comfort settings, vignetting, teleportation. So that's there if you suffer from motion sickness or anything like that. Really happy to report that's in there. They didn't skimp there. Additionally, they didn't skip when it comes to weapon handling. You have fully immersive reloading. But if you don't like that, you could do semi-immersive, where you just grab the ammo and shove it into the weapon and you're good to go. Or you could keep it on button press. It's up to you. So it's nice to have options. Additionally, some of the weapons is electronic leash or laser swords. Those are fully motion controlled. That feels really good to whip enemies next to you and then slice them apart. Nice touch there. Now, those laser swords actually come into new content that's been added specifically for this game. You have additional levels. You play as a new character. And I think they added that specifically because they knew the game didn't feel 100% VR. They made it feel really good, but you could still kind of sense the flat screen roots there. So I was really happy to see that new content. And that's when I really got into the game. That's when I was like acting a fool and stabbing people and jumping across my room. Now, as fun as this game may be, there were a few aspects that stood out to me that I have to mention. Before that though, I will say I'm on a pre-release version, and it's possible you won't experience this. Graphically, it's a good looking game, but for PCVR, it could definitely look better. Unless I'm completely blind here, I could not find any graphical settings to adjust, so I was unable to take full advantage of my RTX 4090, and the only thing I could turn up was SteamVR's super sampling. The subtitle text and menus also looked a bit smudged, or even slightly double visioned, like the right and left eyes don't line up perfectly. I would have also enjoyed a bit more physical interactions, and for a VR title, the pacing in the beginning feels a little bit off. This all really just comes down to port issues and the title showing its age. But honestly, that's all I really have to complain about. Now, jumping back to that PC versus Quest comparison, there's really not much of a difference here. Obviously, PCVR looks better, but the difference is pretty small here. Remember, this is a 2011 game, so it's not like we're dealing with 4K resolution textures or modern graphical effects. The biggest standout for me was the Quest version had a little bit of texture pop-in, and there's definitely a lot more jaggies as the game's resolution is either lower or they're not utilizing anti-aliasing. Otherwise, graphically, these games are pretty similar, and I will add that I didn't see the menu and text blurring on the Quest version like I did with the PCVR version. And from here, I'll just leave you guys with a montage of clips so you get a better understanding of the overall action. Now, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you have any additional questions about the game, please drop them in the comments. I'll do my best to answer you.
And that was today's video, brought to you by my dad, Mateo311. If you enjoyed it, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you're new here,
Consider subscribing.
consider
Consider subscribing.
consider subscribing.
Consider subscribing.
Consider subscribing.
We'll see you guys on next time.
We'll see you guys on next time.